Hello. Konnichiwa. Today I'm just going to do some live mending. I've never done that here, so let's see how it goes. Most of my content is edited, so this won't be. ようこそ皆さん。今日靴下直します。I'm gonna mend these socks. I've already started, so you can see here. It's kind of, I guess it's darning, but I'm just reinforcing. You can kind of see here, it's worn a little bit. So there's no hole, but before we get holes, we want to do this, basically, to prevent it becoming a hole, or at least slow down that process. You can darn if there is a hole, but I just find it personally a bit easier just to reinforce. There's a bit of a better guideline, if that makes sense. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I've got a fresh one here. So you can see a little bit more clearly here on this one. It's worn out here, so it's not a hole yet, but it will be eventually. So we just want to reinforce that rather than wait until it becomes a hole. That feeling just also is not really pleasant, is it? It's a little bit of wear there too. Ja, Annaになる前に直しましょう。So first I'm going to turn it inside out. Hey. Usually I would use a darning mushroom, but I'm using the egg stick today because I can't find my mushroom. Mushroom would have been easier, but I'm using what I have. So I'm gonna start with the smaller one first. Actually, I'm gonna put this in the other way. That'll be easier. If you don't have an egg or a mushroom, you can use like a glass bottle as well. Just anything to keep the needle from going completely through the sock, because then you can't put your foot inside. Okay, so you can kind of see here, and then if I stretch, you can see it's a little bit weak, whereas down here, it's a bit stronger, see? It's kind of see-through. So that's what we want to fix, basically. Where's my thread? Okay, so I've got this blue thread, which kind of matches, but it's a sock, so I don't really care too much. If you did care a little bit more, you could get a thread that's the same color. Up to you. I just happen to have this thread and it's good enough for me. I also feel like with this kind of mending, it's much easier to see what you're doing. Oh, my Apple Pencil got stuck to my scissors. Anyway, it's easier to see where you're stitching or what you're doing if you have a different color. If it's the same color, of course it's not impossible, but it's just a lot easier if it's a different color, in my opinion. But I also like the way mending looks, so I want it to like stand out a little bit more. Oh, by the way, this is still inside out, so it'll look a little bit different on the right side. So it's quite faint, really. It's not super in your face. But anyway, again, like I said, it's a sock, so in my opinion, it's like the bottom of your foot. Not many people are gonna see it. So I wouldn't worry too much about how obvious or not it is. And honestly, if somebody did notice it, you know, for example, I live in Japan, so it's kind of shoes off in the house or shoes off in some restaurants even, or dressing rooms. Like there's a lot of shoes off opportunities for people to see your socks. But I think it's good because then you can like share a story with people. Like, yeah, I fixed my socks. You should too. It's a nice conversation starter. But anyway, I'm going to try to show you best as I can. Also, apologies, I'm using the MacBook Pro webcam because I realized I can't do this with my beautiful iPhone camera because I don't have 1,000 subscribers. So if you could subscribe or tell your friends and family, that'd be super great. Then I can have a little bit better video quality next time. But until then, we're on the webcam. So bear with me. I'm going to try my best to show you what's going on here. So we've essentially got a grid, okay? We've got thread going up and down and side to side. It's going to be easier to pick one direction, and we're going to pick the up and down because it's, although it might not be very clear to see here, it's easier to go up and down. It's a little bit more visible or clear. So the main attraction is here, but we want to go a little bit wider and around to reinforce, to keep it protected from spreading basically. So I'm going to start about a centimeter away from the really impacted zone, and so I'm going to go up and down. So I'm skipping every other thread. So if you imagine this is like a ladder, you're going to be skipping every other step. You can kind of see what I mean now. And then I don't tie knots because if you tie a knot, you would feel it on your foot probably. It wouldn't be like, you know, big deal, but I don't really like that feeling. You know, when your socks get kind of bunched up or something, like some socks are just saggy or made weird. And then there's that, I don't know, that scrunched up wrinkle feeling. I hate that. So I think for me personally, having like a little nugget, like a knot there, and then you'd feel it on your foot probably. It's a little bit of a princess in the pea thing, but I would avoid it. It's unnecessary and you'll probably feel it, especially if you're using a thicker thread. This is kind of small, but I really think you would still feel it. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of a tail, trying to show you, okay, like that. I'm going to leave a little bit there, and later on I will tuck it in, but for now we're just going to leave it loose like that. When I go up this next bit, I am going to hold this when I pull, but I'll show you that in a second. I really wish this wasn't the webcam because I have to try to watch and show you at the same time, which is a little bit awkward. Can you see? Kind of. Well, anyway, the video quality is really not great, is it? Apologies. Again. But here we are. Also, these are my husband's socks. They are not mine. I'm mending them for him because, well, sometimes I do mend his socks, but these in particular, I know he likes the height of them, and they've actually lasted him a pretty long time up until now. So I just thought this is a good pair to mend because I know he really likes them. Okay, so we've gone up and now we're gonna go down. So now it's important to hold this tail part. I'm gonna do that with my thumb here while we push the needle through. We're also gonna be careful of this thread. See how it's like curling and looping up over there? That is accidental not making material. See how it's bunching up here? So what you want to do to avoid that is just periodically pause and straighten it out, and then return to pulling it through and see it happens again. To some point you can just be really careful, okay, and see it straighten it out on its own. So that's fun. Now when I get to this sort of last bit here, I'm gonna stretch the sock a little bit around the egg and hold it in place and pull and just leave a little loop like that. The reason I'm leaving the loop is because socks are stretchy, right? They stretch over your foot. If you pull this tight, it's not the end of the world because it's a small area, but it won't allow it to stretch anymore the tighter you pull it. So I just leave little loops at either side as I'm going. I'll show you this one again so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Ooh, noisy. Okay, so see here, there's quite a lot of loops at the top. And there's even a few spots where, I don't know if you can really tell, but it looks like loose, not pulled tightly, which you might be used to doing if you do embroidery or other types of hand sewing. But see, it still stretches. Of course, it stretches this way really easily, but it also stretches up and down. Okay, so that's the reason behind that. But as I say, if you want to pull tight, you can, because it's not like the whole sock. So if you just pull tight in this little area only, you still have the rest of the sock to stretch. So if you're practicing or just starting out sock darning, it is hard to get this kind of tension right. So if you don't get it totally right the first few times, it's okay because the rest of it will stretch. Not a big deal, but if you can, try. Okay. Let's go down the other way. Now, if this was an actual hole, rather than just a worn out spot, you would kind of do the same technique, but you, instead of just going up and down, would also have to go over it again side to side to cover the hole up. I do want to make a proper video about that at some point. I actually think I filmed it even, so watch out for that. I have been away from YouTube for a little bit, though. I apologize for that too. Lots of apologies today. Okay, so I'm making sure we're not getting tangled up here as I pull through. And then also now, remember the tail from when we started. Instead of making a knot, what we'll do now is push that tail through this loop. So actually we're kind of making a knot. It's just not a conventional knot, I suppose. So I'm holding the tail through the loop, pulling it down. Just gonna stretch it a little bit. The knot, or the tail's still in there. Whoops, nope, it's come out. Okay, hold on to it. Pull a little bit. Okay, that's good. Okay, so the tail is in the loop. So that's gonna just keep it in place. If it comes out eventually as you wear your sock, that's fine. Not a problem. It would take, I guess another reason why you don't, or yeah, the reason why you don't need a knot is because you're going up and down and up and down and up and down quite a lot of area, really. So, you know, to make a knot is to prevent things from coming undone, right? But because you're going up and down and up and down and up and down, it's not really likely that it will come out of all of those up and down weavings you've done. I've been mending socks for a very long time, and I haven't ever had any of my darning come undone. I have had new holes appear. So, like, say I've darned here, I'll have a hole like next door, a little neighbor will pop up, and then I just mend that. So it just expands basically. But I've never had my mending like come undone, even in the washing machine, whatever. So don't worry about making knots, I assure you. It's not necessary. Okay, so I'll keep going a little bit more, but I guess you get the idea. But if anyone has any questions, please leave a comment. I'd be happy to answer. Also, there are a couple of other ways you can do this. Like I said, because this is reinforcing, it is a little bit different. But in terms of darning a hole, you could also do an embroidery stitch, like a blanket stitch. Or some people like full-on weave patterns, which is kind of amazing. I could do that, but I can't be bothered, honestly. Okay, so it's pretty easy. You're basically just weaving in and out, and you'll just do that all along. And then usually when I get to the end, let's say I've gone down like this, and then I'll just go back up in the same place to be my like knot replacement. I'll just show you quickly this other sock I've been working on. So just now I mentioned you can also do embroidery style stitches. So on this sock, which actually is a good example. So I've darned this sock, and as you can see, I have a new hole, and they're all like around the darning. The darning is safe. But yeah, this is the technique I'm talking about here. So this is like a blanket stitch. I've done it a bit weird on this sock for some reason. I don't know where the other one is. I did it a little better, but so yeah, you can do this kind of stitch, or you can like weave it, or like what I'm doing now with the reinforcing up and down. I'll just show you again that final result. Pretty good, I think. Put my hand in it so you can kind of get an idea. It's not see-through really anymore, so that's cool. Still stretches nicely as I spread my fingers out. Nice. My little toe as well. The toes, yeah, it's not bad. I could probably do a little bit more on there, but the toe's a dangerous spot, isn't it? So I'll just see how that reinforcement goes in the next few times he wears the sock, and if it looks a little bit weaker there on that sort of toe part where it's kind of strong, might reinforce it a little bit more. But I think this part here on the bottom of the foot will be pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to end it there for now. Like I said, if anyone has any questions about this technique, or if you'd like to see this option, or how to fix like when it's actually become a hole, or how to darn around other darning spots like this, like with new holes, like how to solve new holes, let me know in the comments what you would like to see. And this is the first time I'm going live, so I hope you enjoyed it. I will try to save this, so if you're watching in the future, I figured out how to save it. Yay! But yeah, thanks for watching. Please smash all those buttons, as they say. Bye! じゃあね。ごめん、英語ばかりでした。